computer. What's up? This is the War Dog. Welcome to Comic Book Theater. I'm here with my guest host, JR. What's going on, JR?
What's going on, War Dog? How are you, man?
Same old, just collecting comics and having fun. So, what are we going to talk about today? I know there's a good show out there.
Well, actually, now that you mention it, I have heard rumblings, and I will admit I didn't do the same thing that I did with our last show review. I did not binge watch everything for it like we did for Stranger Things, but The Boys just dropped on Friday on Amazon. Now, by all accounts, great comic book series by Garth Ennis. And Derek Robertson, I believe, is the artist there. Let me verify that. Yeah, Derek Robertson.
Okay.
And so, but the show on Amazon, yeah, it just dropped. You've seen the whole season. You binge watched the whole season, right?
Oh yeah. Like the first episode was a little slow, just like any series. But once you get into it, like episode 2, episode 3, then I was hooked. And it's really a great show. I highly suggest that people check it out. It's about kind of superheroes versus regular guys, but the superheroes are commercial. So, their motivations aren't really pure.
They make that fairly clear from the very get-go that they're basically corrupt is the way I saw it.
Yeah, they work for a corporation called Vought, I believe, and the top 7 heroes. It's like the Secret 7 or I just watched it. I can't even remember what the name of it was because I was so into it. But yeah, there's 7 heroes. One's like kind of like an Aquaman. One's like a Superman. One's like a Wonder Woman, Flash. Kind of like a Black Panther type character, but yeah, they're all a little bit corrupt. And when you go behind, they have this front of being good guys, but in the background, they're really not so good.
Right. Yeah, I will say that I'm only to episode number 2, so quite literally, they just killed Translucent. Sorry for anybody. I should have. Everybody's going to crucify me. Spoilers. If it happens, it happens. Guys just kind of are going to have to get with it. That we're going to talk openly about what we feel like. I know I just spoiled that without saying spoiler. So leave it in the comments. Tell me what an evil, dirty, rotten person I am. But yeah, I mean, they kind of go from the very get-go showing the corruption and stuff like that. Now, I don't mind it. I'm only 2 episodes in, and since I'm only 2 episodes in, that means that I haven't got as far as you have. But I mean, really, oh man, I forgot the new member of the 7. I forgot her name.
Starlight.
There you go. Starlight seems to be the only one that has any real redeeming qualities, and the way they're implying it from the first 2, it's basically just because she hasn't been there long enough to be corrupted yet. I mean, that's kind of where and I don't know, I haven't seen it, but that's the feeling I get, is that she's only not corrupted because she just joined up. Is that kind of the feeling you're supposed to be getting at that point, you think?
Yeah, I think so. I don't want to spoil it anymore.
More than I have.
Yeah, anymore. But that definitely is kind of set out in the early part of the story. Is she's brought into this group, and in order to be a part of this group, you have to be in with the corrupt. You got to be in with all these guys, and the other female character. But yeah, I think I don't know. I kind of lost my train of thought there. Um, Sorry about that.
You're all right, man. No problem. It's one of those deals where like you say, it feels like they're blaming. I can't tell if they're blaming the corruption on the commercialization and the corporation itself, or if these people in and of themselves are really not good, evil people at heart. You know what I mean? I don't know. It it feels like maybe it's a greed thing that has turned them corrupt. Is that where you were thinking that they were going with that?
I think it's more of a power thing. Like Homelander is one of the characters, and he's so powerful nobody can stop him. And like and I've read comic books like this where somebody is so powerful they start to realize that I'm more powerful than these humans. Why am I working for them?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what that's kind of the impression that you get, especially from this Homelander character, is he's starting to realize that I'm so powerful, I don't need you.
Right. Well, and I know that Billy Butcher is the guy who is kind of got it in for these supers and kind of is the catalyst for getting the boys together. And I know that his initial thought whenever when he's starting the recruiting process and talking to them, talking to the kid from the electronics store, he basically says Homelander is perfect. Like that he really is maybe the only one that's not corrupt. And you find out pretty quick that may not in fact be the case.
Oh yeah, and as the series wears on, you start to see that that he's probably the most corrupt of all of them. The rest of them all have kind of, they're kind of part of the system, but they have a little bit of heart. Homelander's the one that really, he's God, basically.
Right.
And I mean, the biggest disappointment for me was it's only 8 episodes. And so when we got to the very end, I mean, they really dropped a bomb on you at the very end. The very last scene was like, oh my God. And then it was over. And my wife looked at me and she was like, oh my God, this is it? This is where they're stopping?
Well, and I think we got confirmation that they have already re-upped for a second season, which is good. But on the flip side, where we've talked before about other shows that we thought were really, really good, and they leave on a cliffhanger, and for whatever reason they don't get re-upped, there's definitely a double-edged sword there for leaving a series on a cliffhanger.
Oh yeah. The only thing that I hope is because it's through Amazon Prime. I mean, they haven't been known to be dropping shows like Netflix and Hulu and the others, any of the others. So I mean, there's a lot of hope that we'll actually get another one. And I think I seen somebody's post and they were saying that Umbrella Academy was one of their top shows, and then he watched The Boys, and The Boys is now his top show. And I kind of have to agree. I mean, it's pretty cool that they're doing these other outside the universe type shows, and we actually, hopefully they make another Umbrella Academy. Hopefully they make another Boys. Hopefully, I guess maybe Marvel and DC can learn from this, because they Swamp Thing's been pretty good, and that's cut off, and Daredevil, Punisher, and all that's been cut off. So. Hopefully they learn something.
Yeah, well, and I think that there is something to that just like we've talked about this before, where we talk about our comics and you collect what you love. You don't always have to go with superheroes. Yes, this is superhero, but this is not This is more akin to the Watchmen or something like that in terms of superheroes, as opposed to watching, watching Spider-Man Far From Home. This is the dark, seedy underbelly of what superheroes could become if left to their own devices.
And we both probably we're the same age, right? I mean, you look older than I do, but we're both the same age, and yeah. But we both went through that '90s boom, and I mean, Image Comics really probably sparked these shows. Like it started then, because before. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is, I know a lot of people give credit to Dark Knight Returns for turning things much more dark and not, I don't want to say sinister, but brooding and those kind of things. And I'll give full credit there that those are some seminal, between that and The Killing Joke, those are tales that are, look, I think all comic book fans should read those, because whether you do or don't like superheroes are the reason why comic books have continued since the 30s. There's no, you can't question it. Without the superheroes in the 90s, forget about it. It all comes crashing down. There are no properties for places like Sony and Universal and some of these other places to buy to bail out a place like Marvel. You know what I mean? And so superheroes are here to stay. But I also like the fact that there are other stories being told. There are, like you talked about Umbrella Academy. I was a fan of Deadly Class. I thought Deadly Class was Umbrella Academy on, it was Umbrella Academy on crack, basically. Like it was a lot more dark and seedy and just like gritty, and it was a period piece from the 80s. So, you took all of that into account. It did bother me that Sci-Fi only gave it one season.
Yeah, that's almost discouraging. I haven't watched it yet. That's almost discouraging. I don't know if I want to watch it now, because I might feel like you. I don't want it to end.
Well, that's exactly what it boils down to. Is I didn't want it to end. Now, the only thing that I could think of is that possibly with all of these major corporations that are known for being broadcasters, like NBC, CBS, ABC, Disney, all of those places, they're all basically in development with their own streaming services. And Sci-Fi is linked in with I want to say it's NBC. They're linked in with NBC. And so there is a possibility that maybe somebody says, hey, let's revive this on the streaming service only. And maybe they do the same thing with Happy, which was another one. It got 2 seasons at least, but they canned it after the second season. And it was a shock for both of them, because I thought both were relatively well received. But unfortunately, in that exact same thread that you were talking about, the guy with the Umbrella Academy and The Boys, I posted in there, that's the reason why I couldn't understand why Deadly Class didn't go over better and stay around. Was it's kind of a mix between the two, really is. But like it's very murdery, not quite as gory, but very murdery and very edgy. And so I thought, but it's set in as a high school for assassins.
So, I mean, the one thing is that it was on Sci-Fi, and a lot of people are cutting cable, so that might be its one downfall. If it was on Netflix, well, never mind, not Netflix, but if it was on Disney Plus, I guess, or something else, hopefully, it seems like corporate America hasn't figured out how to take as much money from us as possible from these streaming services. They haven't figured that out yet. And in one regard, it's going to suck because they're going to take more money from us. But in another regard, we might actually get complete shows.
That's what I'm hoping as well. And look, I'm a free market guy. But to me, let the free market, the free market will help sort all of this out, whether it's streaming services or not. But there has been rumblings of what people have called a la carte for cable service before, which is basically where you walk through and you choose only the channels that you want. That's all the streaming service is saying, I'm willing to pay $10 a month to get the whole suite of everything that ABC and Disney put together on the streaming service. That's what I want. It'll stream all of my stuff. I can watch it whenever I want. I can binge watch it. I can rewatch it whenever I want. No big deal. Well, like you're talking about people cutting cable, that's kind of a big deal because, like you say, they're worried, and like you say, don't be fooled. Whenever you get an agreement with a cable provider over here, NBC or CBS or whoever has their whole family of networks that you have to get in there with it. You know what I mean? That's the reason why that's the reason why whenever you get a cable, you get Fox Sports, but you might get Fox Sports Southeast. I get Fox Sports Midwest. You're also going to get, the SEC network or whatever, fill in the blank. You're going to get 3 different Fox News channels and Fox Business. And I'm bringing those up because they're all labeled Fox. They're really easy to spot. But ABC, ESPN, Disney, all of those are all related. Sci-Fi. What is it? I'm trying to remember what channel the Impractical Jokers is on, and that bothers me because I don't
Comedy
remember.
Central, is it?
No, they're not on Comedy Central, but they're on True TV. They're on True TV. They're part of that conglomeration as well, as far as they're going to be in there with I believe it's NBC. So if you get NBC, you're getting all of their channels as well, and that's how they push the envelope to make your cable more expensive. Well, expect that all those channels are all going to glom together on their streaming service as well. That's the way that's going to work. But anyway, I'm getting too much into the nuts and bolts and away from our topic here. But like The Boys, you're going to see some more edgy content that people are able to elect to watch or elect to ignore. So I hope that some of these other shows come back. But so far two episodes in for me, or 3 episodes, I can't remember. I think it's 2 episodes in for me. It has been a relatively compelling show.
Yeah, it gets better and better as you go on. Like the first episode, usually the first episode you got to just kind of sit through, but as you go through it, I mean, it gets stronger and stronger. You learn more and more about the characters, and it really by the 8th episode, you're hooked, and you're just sitting there at the end saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe I can't watch another one." I don't know when they're gonna make the next one.
Right. And that's actually brings up a good point. 8 episodes for one season. Is it me, or does that seem light? Does that seem like you say it's a cliffhanger? Regardless of how many episodes they do, they're going to do a cliffhanger. Does that feel light, or do you think that gets them directly to the point and keeps it more entertaining to only have 8 episodes and makes it where there aren't any filler episodes?
I think it definitely makes every episode important. Like, when you're watching like Punisher or Daredevil on Netflix, there's a lot of filler episodes. There's like, I think Punisher and Daredevil were like 11 episodes, and there was about 3 episodes worth of filler. and you kind of get bored sometimes. So I think in the case of The Boys, as it was going on, there you just didn't have that opportunity to get bored. The only unfortunate thing is it ends at 8 episodes, and I think it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, but it's a bad thing as a fan, because oh my God, I can't wait to watch the next one. But at least from Amazon's perspective, it's probably perfect because you're not canceling your Amazon Prime if you've watched the first 8 episodes of The Boys, because you can't wait for the next one. Now, hopefully it kicks off sometime in December or something, and we can get right back into it.
Right. Well, and I know, like with The Tick, I will tell you that I try not to hold that against Amazon Prime for canceling The Tick.
Yeah.
But that is what it is. They initially did half of a season and they ended it on a cliffhanger. And then, like you say, 6 months later, roughly 3 months, let's say it's closer to 6 months later, they dropped the second half of the season. I didn't really care for that method of doing things. As far as I get the cliffhanger thing. Cliffhangers have been a thing in TV and broadcast since the radio days, or they and not that I was alive when there was only radio. That's not how old Todd and I are, but we all remember the syndicated Batman of same bat time, same bat channel. Whenever you're rewatching the reruns from the 60s Batman thing, those were cliffhangers, guys. That it is as old as the hills. But I think there is a law of diminishing returns with cliffhangers. Eventually people get bored of every show having a season-ending cliffhanger. You know what I mean? And maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm the only one that gets bored of that after a while.
Well, I guess if you don't have the cliffhanger, then usually you almost know that it's the end. So they leave you with that cliffhanger so that you're ready for the next season. But the interesting thing from the comic book perspective is The Boys is a comic book has a comic book. Walking Dead has a comic book. Deadly Class has a comic book. And so the comic books spike, right? When the show comes out, what happens after the show is over? There's an ending usually with these shows.
I think that actually, and TV shows, let's talk about this in two different ways, because I personally have seen this, and guys, this is where we're going to get into my theories on speculation, okay? So take this with a grain of salt, but I will tell you this is my observation over many years of watching how comic books perform. There's a much, much, much different spike for movies than there is for TV shows. Okay. So having said that, that means for a movie spike, let's say, a movie spike is going to be whenever Ultron is coming in the next Avengers movie. So you start to see the book spike whenever he's announced as the main big bad for that movie. As it progresses, you might see another spike whenever they show a clip of or a trailer for it that has him in it. Then you might see spike for like say a week, 10 days after the initial drop of the movie. But in between all of those spikes, and you can watch it, it's a zigzag line. It spikes and then it softens. It spikes and then it softens. Now, again, that second softening may still be higher than that first spike was, but it's a zigzag line. It's not a straight line going up, okay? Now that's different from TV shows, and I will say that The Walking Dead is the exception to the rule, not the rule. The reason that I say that is The Walking Dead #1 is like $1,000 freaking book. Like, it is a high dollar book, but it's a high dollar book for more than just the fact that it was a TV show. It's extremely low print.
Yeah.
Extremely low print. So having been an extremely low print, as soon as the TV show becomes a national or worldwide phenomenon like it did, it spikes. I don't believe that it will ever come back down below that number. And look, I'm talking for like 9/8 and stuff here, that they're just monstrous key books, but they're nearly impossible to find. That's the other reason why it spikes. Now, something like The Boys, I don't know what the print run was on it, but it's going to see more of a TV show spike. Whereas, so like Deadly Class, we'll go back to that because we've been using that before.
Yeah.
Deadly Class spiked on the initial announcement of the TV series, and then softened. And then whenever it actually hit TV, it spiked again and then softened. But it never, ever is going to, even though it is a relatively scarce book, like a $30 book. Now, again, the TV show, for all intents and purposes, failed. One season, it didn't get canceled halfway through the season, but one season and it's done. I still think that that Deadly Class #1 will end up continuing to be a $10 to $15 book long term. If they ever find a way to revive it again, it may spike again, but it won't go much higher. I don't know what the market is on The Boys. I'm sure we could look that up real quick. But the truth is, I see it getting a TV spike. And that's what I was telling Josh Sheldon whenever we were talking about Stranger Things. He brought up The Boys.
Yeah.
And really, like I say, it's a TV spike. It's not a movie spike. It's not a one and done movie. It's a TV series. So you'll see spikes of whenever, like, say, I don't know all the team members, but you'll see spikes for each one of their first appearances. And you might see a spike for first appearances of big bads throughout the series. But after the newness wears off, Negan is a perfect example. His first appearance, whenever they were hinting that whole season that Negan was coming, his first appearances were through the roof, man. Through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
All printing. It was nuts. It was crazy. Now, dude, go on eBay. You can pay. They're a dime a dozen. They're all over the place. And you can basically get them for whatever you want to give for them at that point. So,
well, The Boys, I mean, the interesting thing is they can continue to make superheroes.
Right.
I know the series is still going. I'm pretty sure it is. And you know, so I mean, if it keeps going, I mean, they could create a universe. So there is that potential for that, where The Walking Dead kind of fizzled as time went on. I don't know if Deadly Class is the same way. I mean, if it has that same staying power.
You know, I do know that it is an ongoing series. I do know that it is continuing to be done. I want to say The Boys is in the 50s.
Yeah, I think
issue
so.
Number. And I want to say the Deadly Class is in the 40s, something like that.
Okay.
So these are a couple of years worth of on each one of them. And so, look, I don't foresee either one of the comic book series going by the wayside because their fan bases are rather rabid, which is good. That's a good sign. The downside is I don't know. You know, like with Deadly Class, I don't believe it'll get a second chance. I think I wish it would, but I don't have that. I don't. Now, I will say this. I believe that the Tick may get a second chance at some point. It just depends on where. Because I know that Ben Edlund is a guy who has connections. He didn't stop with being the creator of the Tick with NEC comic books. He went and learned to do the animation for the cartoon. He was involved with that. He was involved with the first iteration of the live action show, and then subsequently this latest iteration. And honestly, last I heard, he was shopping it.
Oh, okay.
So I believe that one might, but I'm not guaranteeing it because who the heck knows? Who the heck knows?
Well, yeah, it could be like the whole Batman thing. Every so often they just reboot it.
Yeah, and that's totally cool, and I'm down with that. So, just real quick, we'll wrap up our talk here on The Boys. If you were having to rate it between shows, where is it on your slate of shows right now? Are there shows that you would rather watch than it, or is it at the top of the heap, or give us kind of a top 5 there, unless if The Boys is number 1.
The Boys is probably in the top 5. It's hard to really like rate them because I like just about everything. Like Swamp Thing, I thought was really good, and that's a shame that one's ending. The Boys is up there. Umbrella Academy, I look forward to the next one. I was really enjoying The Punisher, the way that The Punisher had ended. I thought, oh boy, I can't wait for the next season, and that got canceled. And then I like Luke Cage, Daredevil, and I even like Iron Fist and Jessica Jones. So, but yeah, I would put The Boys up there. I like the idea of kind of evil superheroes. It's kind of different. It kind of – so, I can't wait for the next season to come out. But, I could watch Umbrella Academy season number 2 and say that's the best, and then watch The Boys season 2 and say that's the best. But I highly recommend watching The Boys if you haven't watched it. It's awesome.
Okay, right on. Now, I'm only 2 episodes in. I will say that I would have put it behind Deadly Class and behind Umbrella Academy both. But definitely in that genre more than the superhero genre of The Flash on CW and the Arrowverse or even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. To me personally, I even though there are superheroes involved, I kind of divide them. One is more of that like I don't like you say it's a little more brooding, a lot more dark, more gore, that kind of stuff. Whereas the other ones are the real just kind of cut and dry, good old American superheroes, the Flash and the Green Arrow and Black Lightning and those kind of guys where yes, they're complex superheroes, but they're basically sitcom superheroes. They're definitely much closer to that Adam West type of Batman series than they are the Dark Knight comic book series. So that I know that's not a real good answer, but I would say that on that side of things, I would probably put it at number 3 or number 4-ish, because I think The Punisher was pretty stellar, and so was Daredevil.
You know what? I forgot about The Flash. That's actually one of my favorite shows too, because of all the crazy speedsters and all of his villains. I thought they did all the villains really well. So, Flash is probably up there too. 1 and 2 would probably be Boys and Umbrella Academy at this point. Got to see how it plays out. But yeah, The Flash is probably my number 3.
Right on. Well, I tell you what, that's a good place for us to end our discussion on this topic. I tell you what, guys, just so you're aware, we're going to change up our formatting a little bit for the podcast. We're going to start doing this where it's a little bit easier for everybody to digest. Todd and I have talked about it, and that's where we're going to go. So we're actually I think we're going to wrap up this episode of the podcast at this point.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much covered it.
Right on, man. Well, let me just tease, guys. We're not done with the topic of superhero TV shows in the very, very near future, possibly even the next episode that you see. We will be talking about the Disney revelations from San Diego Comic-Con, Disney Plus, the movies in Phase 4. So don't miss it, guys. Don't miss it.
Yeah. There's going to be those what if shows. Those are going to be interesting.
I can't wait.
I know.
I may like just completely filibuster and do nothing but talk what if.
Yeah. The what if sound pretty good. I heard there's a possibility of Marvel Zombies and everything. So.
Oh yeah. Tons of stuff like that. So do not miss our next episode, guys. Do not miss it. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, get somebody else to listen.
Heck yeah.
All right.
All right. Peace out.
Be good, guys.